Welcome to Dr.MaryOz's Radical Change Now radio program. Today you will learn how to combine healing and the law of attraction to better your own life in mere weeks. Join us on our journey, which starts right now. Here's your host, Dr. Mary Oz.
Hi, welcome to the Radical Change Now show here on the Empowerment Channel at Voice America. And I have a very special guest today with us, Dr. Valerie Baker. Welcome, Dr. Valerie.
Hi, Dr. Mary. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for saying yes to this interview today and bringing us your message.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So I wanted to share with our listeners today where we actually met, because I think I've only met you about 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we met at a Lisa Sasevich mastermind. And last week we had Rihanna Milne on the show. And the three of us have met there. And we are three powerful women with powerful messages. So I'm just super excited that you're able to be with us today.
I'm super excited too. Thank you for having me.
So you're going to be talking to us today about permission to succeed.
Yes.
And talking about 7 success blocks that keep brilliant women working way harder than men to create and enjoy success in all areas of their life.
Yeah.
So tell us what you do and what's your passion.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I'm just wondering how this title is resonated with your listeners right now. I'm just inviting your listener. So please tune into your body. Just notice how this is landing for you when you're hearing that brilliant women are working way harder than men for the same or lesser markers of success. Are you like, oh, no, like that must not be true, or it's totally true? And what comes up for you? So this is what's been coming up for me, but I haven't really been very aware of that, but growing up, a girl, getting all these messages, overt, verbal, and covert, right? Read between the lines about what I could and I couldn't do. Like girls, like, don't laugh so loud. No one will want to marry you. I'm like, really? And really, like those little things, but they sink in deep. And then don't shine too bright. Like, don't be too smart. Don't be too smart. People won't like you. And lo and behold, that kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of us dimming our light as we go through life. I don't know if this resonates with your listener right now. So it's been my path. And then little by little, I became depressed in my late teens, and I didn't know that there was a connection between dimming my light and getting depressed. Looking back, I can see that now. But from there, I got really interested in studying psychology. Yay! Because to fix myself, right? And I didn't really realize that at that time, and some people don't realize that, I think, even now, that psychology and therapy, like I've been a therapist for over a decade, like the goal of therapy is not to help people like become all they can be, like live extraordinary lives, become as happy as they can be. Really, Sigmund Freud, the father of psychology, formulated what it's about like this, that the goal was to transform neurotic misery into common unhappiness. And common unhappiness was like the goal. And then after graduating, and then I did my research on transformation in my doctoral program, which I'll be happy to share with you because that's where it all started. But, well, really it was my own desire to live a happy life and looking for tools and not finding the tools to take me there.
Yeah, that really resonates with me, Dr. Valerie, because I actually have a coaching business and a counseling business. Mm-hmm. And I find that my counseling clients, they usually come to me in pain or with a problem, right? And they really just want out of the pain or out of the problem. And they're not normally looking at their whole life.
Yeah.
And then when I have a coaching company, those clients are really like, I want to be more. They're usually very passionate about personal self-development and accelerating in life. And they don't want to just fix one area of life. They want to fix all the areas of life and usually take people with them. So I agree with you. There's a really big distinction between being a psychologist or being like a coach or a transformational coach where you take it further, right? And you really make a difference in someone's life.
Exactly. Thank you for making that distinction. So just like yourself, I also, like my path veered into two, where I still continued with my psychology practice. And I began teaching and coaching and specializing in helping women stop dimming their light and reclaim that success and start playing the game of how good can it get, which I'm sure we'll dive into in a moment.
Yeah, it's funny. I know your work, you talk about the game and how good it can get, and you have her success. You have like a lot of different catchy terms that you use. And as soon as I heard how good can it get as a game, it brought me back to one of my favorite authors. I don't know if you're familiar with Florence Shuffle Shin.
No.
But she has a book called The Game of Life. And just the concept of that life is a game. And in her game of life, there's 4 squares. There's like health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. Nice. So I know when I work with my clients, we often talk about the game of life and like, how can we prove your health, your wealth, your love? And the one that everybody gets stuck on is like, what's perfect self-expression? Like they don't even like the term. And that's why I love your term. Like, don't shine your light too bright, right? It's like, no, that comes from within. That comes from when you're one with yourself, when you feel empowered. Right?
Yeah.
So tell us about this. How good can it get in the game?
Yeah. So let me give you a little bit of the backstory. So my desire to overcome my own unhappiness, right, which I didn't know at the time, was very much due to the fact that I was not shining my light, right? It was how I had all these factory pre-installed restrictions, like don't be too much, don't be too smart, don't be too pretty, whatever, right? And so I dove into my studies of psychology. I did my doctoral research on transformation. And your listener might be familiar with Joseph Campbell's work, The Hero's Journey. I'm sure you're very familiar with that. And so that's pretty much what I found in my research, that transformation pretty much followed this path. And it goes like this. The person is living an ordinary life. Then something bad happens. It's their call to adventure, and then they first refuse it, but the call persists. More bad stuff happens. That's when people come to therapy. Yes. And the hero is like, all right, I got to do something about it. So they go on a journey. And on this journey, they experience more losses. They experience trials, tribulations. And then they discover something within them, that light, right, they didn't know they had. And their life transforms from the ordinary to extraordinary. So that's the model, right? That's the classical model of transformation. So your listener probably experienced that journey, or is in the process right now. I did as well. But there was one participant in my research who grew up in a different culture. She grew up in a culture where spiritual practice was pretty much at the core. And so she's been on this journey of transformation, of personal evolution, since she was a teeny tiny girl. So for her, it wasn't a crisis that pulled her on this journey. It was her desire to find out how good can it get in this lifetime. So in our, like, in the Christian paradigm, it's very much like, well, how much can I suffer in this lifetime? So then, well, after I die, maybe I'll get someplace nicer. And so I really got very curious about, well, what can we do? How can we shift? Because in this culture, there are no cultural blueprints for this kind of journey of how good can this get. And this is very much an upward spiral of personal evolution, whereas the hero's journey is a downward spiral. You go deeper, 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 and you mine the gold. So, and when I was studying this journey, so true to form, you announce to the universe, I want to study transformation. And the universe said, your wish is my command, and pulled the rug right from under me. So I had a huge crisis in my marriage. I had a newborn daughter. At that time, she was a newborn, and a huge health crisis with her. And it was just like, down the downward spiral. And then after I've committed to studying and teaching that upward spiral, the game of how good can it get, like I'm really enjoying the research part a lot more that I get to do in, the lab of my own life. Mm-hmm. So I really recommend, and this really became my battle cry, that instead of waiting for that awakening crisis to hit, we proactively commit to researching how good can it get, especially for women. So the difference here is that the difference between women and men, that's why I put it in the title, not to say, well, us against them or something like that, but historically, it's never been safe for a woman to be visible, like at all. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so for a woman to be successful is truly revolutionary. It's truly revolutionary. And there's a huge cultural prohibition on the pleasure we get to experience. And so when women start becoming successful in one area of life, let's say their career, or if they're an entrepreneur in their business, or maybe in their marriage, they subconsciously sabotage other areas, right, or don't allow themselves to fully experience that success, and they don't even know they're doing that. And so I think it's a crime, it's a waste, it's a cultural crime. There's nothing wrong with the women. There's nothing wrong with us. It's not our fault. But we need to be aware that there are some success blocks that are culturally factory pre-installed.
Right. Or cultural conditioning, right? I know you talk a lot about cultural conditioning, right?
Cultural conditioning that we receive through our families too, and some personal trauma, some personal experiences that let us know, it's not safe to show up. People will criticize you and you'll be rejected. And for a woman, we're so communal to be rejected. We're so relational to be rejected. When the tribe rejects us, we perish, we die. That survival conditioning is very strong. So I'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about success blocks. But I guess one more thing I want to say about why it's important for women, very important for women to play this game of how good can it get. Warren Buffett, we've heard about Warren Buffett.
Sure.
He's very, very much a feminist. He's very much, he respects women, believes in women, in women's equality. And so in his documentary, Becoming Warren Buffett, he said, I have two sisters, and they're every bit as brilliant as I am, but with better personalities. And the only difference is that growing up, they received the message that their futures were limited. And I received the message that the sky was the limit.
I love that. Yeah.
And I get goosebumps every time I say that, and I say it a lot, because, it makes me feel all those factory pre-installed blocks that consciously I don't believe that I'm less than, or I don't deserve, right? Or I don't get to experience pleasure, but subconsciously, that conditioning is so strong, because really up until recently, the only definition of success for a woman was to marry well. Like up until 1975, a woman could not open a bank account by herself without a male co-signer. So it's so recent.
Yeah.
And we honor ourselves for being her success revolutionaries. And I feel that this is where the work is now. At least for me.
I hear it. I can hear the passion in your voice. So I do want to ask you, I love that analogy that you made, that I think you said the hero goes on the downward spiral. Mm-hmm. And when you're playing the game of how good can it get, you're on that upward spiral. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit more about like the upward spiral? Because in other words, if the listeners were to come and work with you, what could they expect from that upward spiral?
That's a great question. Thank you. So the downward spiral is where stuff gets taken away from you. You go on the journey unconsciously, kicking and screaming. Something bad happens and you just need to deal with it. Let's say a marriage crisis or an illness, right? Or a financial crisis. And you're like, okay, how can I mobilize my gifts, right? Things are being taken away from me. Like my old world, my old identity, my old ways of thinking, they're being taken away from me because they no longer work. On the upward spiral, it gets tricky because you are called to vision bigger and step into a bigger, better, how good can it get, push the envelope into that version of yourself. And with that, you have to voluntarily give up old ways of thinking, old ways of being, old ways of relating to yourself and others. So it's the same profound healing that happens on both paths. But you can expect to be much happier on the upward one. But it's the same, if not the same amount of work, if not more, because there are no cultural blueprints for the upward spiral.
But I would imagine, too, it's different kind of work. And I would assume that on some level it involves surrendering, too.
Oh,
right?
Yes, a lot.
A whole different journey when you take a journey of surrender, or the answers come from within, or as opposed to someone else being the expert and rescuing you. Yeah,
both journeys involve a lot of surrender, but on the upward spiral, the biggest difference is that you're consciously creating your reality. And on the downward spiral, you are waking up from being unconscious, and you're being slapped awake, like life pours cold water on you, like, wake up. Not very pleasant.
Yes, it's kind of like that bacon commercial with the gentleman in the back seat of the car, and he ate the wrong thing and the bacon smacking him all over the place. It's not a pleasant experience, you're right. Well, Valerie, I want to ask you one more question before we take our first commercial break. So what kind of woman are you most passionate about working with and supporting?
Well, she's an overachiever and proud of it. She knows she's born for something big. She really has this desire to bring her gifts to the world in a bigger way, but she doubts whether or not who does she think she is, right? Does she get to do that? Is it really possible? And, relationships are very important to her. She doesn't want to sacrifice them on the journey to success. So she feels her bigness, and it's killing her. It's killing her because she has so much more to offer, but there are all these things, all these success blocks holding her back. So I feel her agony, I feel her pain, and I'm very passionate about supporting her. Alike.
I love that. She feels her bigness. It's like it's inside of her. She knows it. But she doesn't really know probably about the upward spiral, or she doesn't know what to do to move upward. And that's where you come in. Correct?
It's like it's correct. It's like being very, very pregnant and not having a midwife or a doula or a doctor around to support.
And like you want to give birth to a dream or a legacy, or give birth to making a difference in other people's lives.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, well, I'm so glad we're here with Dr. Valarie, and we're going to take a very quick commercial break on the Radical Change Now with Dr. MaryOz. But be sure to stay with us and come back, because when we return, Dr. Valarie is going to be talking to us about some of the 7 success blocks. And she's going to help us identify if you have these blocks in your lives, you want to know about it. And if we have enough time, I'm going to pick Dr. Valerie's brain about your own genius, because that's one of her favorite topics. And she talks a lot about her success revolution. So you're not going to want to miss what we have coming up in our next segment.
Find out what makes the most successful people tick. Keep listening to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
Dr. MaryOz's Radical Change Coaching Program will help you set a healing foundation in your life and teach you how to manifest more of what you want. Are you ready to get the results and radical change you have been longing for too long? Very often our clients tell us that this is the most powerful coaching they have ever received. Come join us and start living life with more results, more love, more wealth, health, and peace, as well as inspiration. For more information, call Coach Sam at 1-833-447-CHANGE. Need help deciding if our Radical Change coaching program is right for you? Apply for a free strategy session with one of our coaches. Be prepared to dive deep and identify the areas in life in which you need healing and transformation. Together, we will clarify how to close the gap from where you are to where you want to be and discover what's possible now. How would it feel to get big changes in less than 30 days for you, your loved ones, and your business? Apply now by calling Coach Sam at 1-833-447-CHANGE or visit us at radicalchangenow.com.
Don't you just wish sometimes that life could come with a do-over button? We'd probably use it a lot more than we think. What if there was one do-over button you could use each week? Make that place the Voice America Empowerment Channel for Code to Grace, the Empowered Women's Guide to Life, with host Marilyn Mosier. Marilyn and her guests will help you find the key to break free from the chains of your life and start anew. Listen live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time and 12 noon Pacific Time on Voice America Empowerment.
Now you don't have to stay linked to your desktop or laptop. Take Voice America on the go and listen anywhere. Get our mobile app for iPhone, BlackBerry, or Android at the Apple iTunes App Store, BlackBerry App World, or Android Market.
Find out what makes the most successful people tick. Keep listening to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You are listening to Radical Change Now with Dr. Mary Oz. If you'd like to participate in our discussion today, the phone lines are open. Reach us at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. Let's get back to Radical Change Now. Here again is Dr. Mary Oz.
So we're here in the Radical Change Now show, and we have Dr. Valerie Baker with us. And we've been talking about success blocks for women that make us work harder, make us self-sabotage, and cultural conditioning that keeps us from shining our light brightly. So welcome back, Dr. Valerie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for talking to us about these success blocks and all this powerful information. And I wanted to just check in with you. So we have these success blocks, especially women. And how does a woman know if she has some of these success blocks? And what are some of the success blocks? And what symptoms would they look for to see if it's happening in their life?
Yeah, that's a great question. These symptoms show up in so many ways. And I just want to really, again, say that there is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with this woman listening, talking to you right now. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me or with Dr. Mary. Well, you already knew that. There is nothing wrong with you. And I'm going to give you a few examples from very, very successful women so you know that they have those too. And actually, the more successful a woman becomes, the more these success blocks actually show up, or because she's so far outside of the zone that the society prescribes to her that she gets to play in. And so they show up in her health, they show up in her relationships, they show up as some subconscious self-sabotage in the financial department. There are many examples of that. You might have heard of Shonda Rhimes, who is a very successful and phenomenally talented TV writer, producer. She's the author of hit shows like Grey's Anatomy, Scandal. She's phenomenal. And she wrote this book, Year of Yes, highly recommend, an awesome book. And in that book, she's so honest, so candid. She says, and it's not an exact quote, but along those lines, that the more successful I was becoming, the more miserable I was becoming. And it was becoming a big problem, and I was just putting more food on top of it. And so she was gaining weight, and she figured, and she shares that, she figured that if I'm successful and fat, that's less threatening to people than a successful woman, and especially a successful woman of color that she is. And so, and I just invite you to really look at your life, where you may be downplaying your own genius, where you may be kind of apologetic about how brilliant you are, how beautiful you are, how accomplished you are. Do you allow yourself to fully shine? So some other examples, right? I work a lot with women who have already achieved a level of success, and they're working very, very hard to sustain it and further it. But what's even more heartbreaking is that they don't have the full permission to fully enjoy it. It's like they don't really enjoy it, right? We're all working to create that, right? That, and I know we can relate. That's part of our journeys too, and it's not like we're above this. So they're creating the better life, that promise of better life, but they just end up working harder and harder. And experiencing things like adrenal fatigue is so huge with successful women. Chronic stress, autoimmune disorders, back pain. Always go to a doctor, right, when you're experiencing those, but also inquire with your body, inquire with yourself. What am I blocking? What abundance am I cutting off? Like when Arianna Huffington famously collapsed, when she was at the peak. Well, I don't know, she continues reaching to new peaks, but she was very successful and just working around the clock. She didn't have to do that. And since then, she wrote this book on sleep, became a sleep evangelist. In my view, it was really this cultural addiction to stress and how that relates to our worthiness. Like if you are working hard, that means us lovable and worthy human beings. And she doesn't talk about that. I don't know if she realized that or not, but that's where I help women see what those things are covering up and do deeper healing.
It almost sounds like also, Valerie, self-sacrifice, right? It's almost like I'm successful, or I want to create more, I want to help more people, whatever people are doing that's so intense for them, but they forget self-care and self-love and, adrenal fatigue and all that stuff. You're pushing yourself so hard, you're actually sacrificing yourself.
Yeah, there is a big martyrdom, kind of cultural blueprint in our society as far as women are concerned. We're expected to sacrifice. In a relationship, we're expected to sacrifice our needs to a man. And it used to be a survival thing. A woman legitimately could not survive without a male partner. Right. Because women had no rights. Now that the situation has changed, but that conditioning is still there. But there is also a lack of permission. Like there's this pleasure police, I call it, cultural pleasure police all around us. Like, oh no, don't enjoy your meal too much. What, are you sitting down to relax? And then we start policing ourselves, and we just don't allow ourselves to fully enjoy that goodness that we're creating in our lives. And it feels selfish. It feels wrong, like we're not serving others.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because what I find in both my counseling and my coaching practice is that some women, not all women, but some women are actually confused about the definition of self-care or self-love, right? So they think it's selfish to take care of themselves. And very often I help women discover that, self-care is not selfish. Self-care is healthy. And selfishness is when you only care about yourself. And very often these women are caring so much and giving everything away that they're on empty. So they can't possibly be being selfish, but they think it's selfish to do self-care. And I've had many women be set free just by understanding that distinction.
Yeah, that's huge, Mary. I'm so glad that you're speaking to women about self-care. I say if it's not in your highest good, it's not in anybody's highest good.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and then, you talk about your success blocks. And for me, that resonates too, because we teach something called unconscious conflicts. And we don't think of it so much as success blocks, but it's like something happens somewhere in your life and your unconscious connected two things in a non-truthful way. And now it's like a protective parent on overtime, and it's just protecting you from your greatest joy. And the only really way to get to your greatest joy is to be in touch with that unconscious conflict and find out what's the truth that you haven't discovered yet.
Exactly.
Right?
It all leads deeper to uncovering that truth within. And I teach women to look for telltale signs. I call it my MBA system for mind, body, and actions. I teach them, thank you, I teach them to look at the symptoms. Let's say on the level of the mind, it can be self-judgment, right, or self-criticism, the thoughts that contain that flavor. On the level of the body, health expressions that I talked about before. And on the level of action, different ways of self-sabotage. Like, are you delaying sending that important email? Are you not going for that opportunity? Are you purposefully turning your head the other way when the opportunity actually is beckoning to you? Are you downplaying your accomplishments? All that. And it takes a lot of vigilance to notice, and it's painful to notice those. But ultimately, that is the way to liberation, because then we are empowered to undo those.
That's true. Now, we're talking a lot about women, but I'm assuming men have success blocks too.
I imagine so, and I'm sure they do, and I see it. And but I'm very passionate about working with women, because it's just, I know men work with women too, and it's a nice balance of masculine and feminine, but I really feel that through my experience in the woman's body in this lifetime, going through these different conditioning rounds, overcoming these internalized things, informs me much more than my degrees do.
Yes.
It informs me so much more, and I have so much compassion for what women are going through, because I'm going through that too.
Right.
And together, we're discovering something, that technology that gets us out of that situation.
Right. So you're very clear and passionate about your calling is to work with women, specifically around success and their genius.
Yes.
And you're so excited about it, you're ready to begin a revolution to get as many women as you can to work through their success block, so they can shine their light, so they can have that life that you talked about. How good can it get? And like you said earlier, to have it now in this lifetime, right? Not to think about you gain it in the future, but live it now, revel in it now, right?
Revel. I love the play on words with revel and revolution, right?
Yeah, that's
a little bit similar.
Right,
what's a revolution? It's standing up, actively standing up to the status quo. If the status quo of working harder than men for the same markers of success or lesser, and not allowing ourselves to feel the pleasure and the joy of the good life, if that's not working for you, then you take an active stand against it, and you are her success revolutionary. You do something about it. It's not us against them. It's you for you. It's you for your ultimate, most exciting life.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So I know you talked about some of the symptoms, but I don't think you shared the success blocks, some of the success blocks with us yet. Have you?
Yeah. No, I haven't. I haven't. There are so many, and I could literally spend hours and days going through them. So I'm going to just share. Let's go for 3 today. And I know we're meeting again next week.
Yes, we're going to have Dr. Valarie back on the show. We're going to give you either a coaching moment or a teaching moment, whatever you prefer, and let you strut your stuff. And I know you're going to dive deeper. We're going to let you shine your light.
Thank you. I welcome the opportunity, and it's going to be hard to choose coaching and teaching, but we'll dive more in depth. And at the end of the show, Dr. Mary and I will share with you where you can learn more. But let me just throw a few breadcrumbs out there and see if you want to follow that path for yourself. So
awesome.
So a few very common success blocks for women is. We have a problem with receiving.
I was just talking to a client about that this morning at 11:30. It's a perfect example.
Yeah, we're so conditioned to give, and our worth is just hinging on that. And it's really hard to receive. Even when we're saying we're doing all these affirmations, right? We know how to do all this stuff. We create vision boards. We're like, universe, bring me abundance. And we don't even realize that subconsciously we may be closed off to receiving. We don't know it because it's subconscious, but it shows up in the MBA, mind, body, and actions, and we can learn to track it. Like a simple way to track it is like how are you with compliments? When somebody compliments you, do you just like reciprocate right away? Oh, I love your dress too. Or do you say, yeah, thank you. It's true. Yes, I am brilliant.
I love that.
That is true. Receiving pleasure in everything you do, like having a cup of tea, having a glass of water. Are you fully receiving the pleasure in that simple act?
Sometimes slowing down enough, right?
Oh, my goodness.
To enjoy the pleasure.
Giving yourself that luxury. Really, no thing is too small. Every step is revolutionary in reclaiming that receiving. And I can talk a lot more about that. And at the end, we'll share with you where you can find out more. I actually have a whole video on that success block alone, so you can find out more. And another success block is orienting to the external and not the internal for love, for approval, for guidance. And, women, we do it a lot because we're such social creatures. We're very communal. So approval and acceptance is important for our survival, but we really take it overboard, sisters. Yeah. We go too far. And so, the common...
feminine energy, right?
Feminine energy. Well,
feminine energy.
It's again, that conditioned expression of that. It's not the purest expression, but the society conditioned us to like be like the others, don't stick out, because if you stick out, you're going to be punished, you're going to be criticized. And so subconsciously, we police ourselves and we make sure we don't stick out a lot. And we kind of measure our self-worth by others' approval. And so that's where a lot of fear of visibility kicks in for women and blocks their success, procrastination, self-judgment, judgment of others, fear of judgment, and also like really putting experts on the pedestal, like, oh, that person will tell me what to do and I will be successful. I mean, yes, I'm a learning junkie too. Like I believe in self-development. I invest a lot in self-development. I wouldn't be where I am today without all that. And I continue doing it at a larger scale. But the difference is, do not outsource your higher power. Do not outsource your knowing. Your inner knowing is always the place from which you make the best decisions. Yes, you get all this information and this guidance. It's amazing. It's great. You empower yourself. But a woman's intuition is something that we have been also conditioned not to listen to. And it's one of our superpowers. So learning to connect with it, trust it, and act upon it, that's a kind of a new skill for us, although it's innate. So this is something that I teach women to really master. And so the decisions can be really easy. There is no more FOMO, fear of missing out, no more compare and despair, no more spending like thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on something that doesn't work for them and trying to make it fit when it doesn't, but really being very discerning in how we allocate resources.
Yeah, it's the opposite of believing that someone else has the magic bullet for us, right? The magic bullet or the magic formula, right? Yeah. Exactly. So once your clients work through these success blocks, what happens in their lives? What changes?
Yeah, so many things change. There's another success block that I didn't talk about, and I won't right now. We don't have that time, but again, you'll hear where you can learn more. There's a video on that too. That's not visioning big enough. Again, there's that ceiling that our futures are limited versus for men, the sky is the limit. And so working through these blocks, including this one, like really opens up amazing lives. And it sounds like that's such a big promise. But really, if you remember, I started talking about my own depression, and I didn't didn't connect it with, I was dimming my own light. That's why I was feeling depressed. So people get out of these negative feelings. So something that I hear from my clients all the time that shifts for them is that self-critic, that inner voice, like it just goes away. There's no more inner critic. So that torment ends. And that takes up so much energy and second guessing yourself and procrastinating and then hating on yourself for doing that inner torment, that goes away. And the resources that takes up, the energy, the time, and we shift toward getting the energy from pleasure. We shift to getting energy from relationships. What happens for women is that they really begin to feel so present in their lives. Their relationships begin to blossom. They really enjoy that time with their children, with their parents, with their loved ones. And this is because we are so relational. This is so big for women. And yes, financially, their results improve. Like I always get these numbers too. Like, my billing increased by 35% in a month. Or this, I hired new people, and my team is. To me, this is awesome. But to me, the real juice is when a woman is living a good life. She's at ease. She's at peace with herself.
Yeah.
And that makes good life that money can buy.
I totally agree with that. Excellent point. Dr. Valerie, we're going to take another quick commercial break. But to our listeners, make sure you come back. Dr. Valerie and I will be sharing where you can get her free gift. And she was just sharing with us the 3 success blocks, how women struggle to receive. Sometimes we go external way more than we need to, and we don't go internal enough. And that sometimes we just don't have a big enough vision, and we don't know how to be in touch with that vision. So join us after our commercial, and Dr. Valerie's got more to share, and she's got a free gift that she's going to offer you guys. So we'll be right back.
Live up to your fullest potential. This is the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
Dr. MaryOz's Radical Change Coaching Program will help you set a healing foundation in your life and teach you how to manifest more of what you want. Are you ready to get the results and radical change you have been longing for too long? Very often our clients tell us that this is the most powerful coaching they have ever received. Come join us and start living life with more results, more love, more wealth, health, and peace, as well as inspiration. For more information, call Coach Sam at 1-833-447-CHANGE. Need help deciding if our Radical Change Coaching Program is right for you? Apply for a free strategy session with one of our coaches. Be prepared to dive deep and identify the areas in life in which you need healing and transformation. Together, we will clarify how to close the gap from where you are to where you want to be and discover what's possible now. How would it feel to get big changes in less than 30 days for you, your loved ones, and your business? Apply now by calling Coach Sam at 1-833-447-CHANGE or visit us at radicalchangenow.com.
We hear just be you a lot these days. But who are you? What is an authentic life? The answer to these questions and more will be answered on the Authentic Living Show, hosted by Andrea Matthews. Andrea will interview some of today's spiritual, psychological experts and will provide her own wisdom to help you raise your consciousness to the level of your I Am. Listen for Authentic Living with Andrea Matthews. Heard live every Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
Become a member of VoiceAmerica.com. It's easy, and best of all, it's free. Start out by going to our homepage or any of our channels and click Register at the top. Once you've created an account and signed in, you can create your own custom library, opt into our newsletter, search by show, host, guest, or topic of interest, or browse millions of hours of content across all of our Voice America radio channels. Membership gets you more. Visit VoiceAmerica.com today to get started and tailor the listening experience to your taste.
Live up to your fullest potential. This is the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
You are listening to Radical Change Now with Dr. MaryOz. If you'd like to participate in our discussion today, the phone lines are open. Reach us at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. Let's get back to Radical Change now. Here again is Dr. Mary Oz.
So we're here with the Radical Change Now show with Dr. Mary Oz, and we're in our final segment with Dr. Valerie Baker. And she's been talking to us about success blocks and working with women and how to really radically change their life and turn their light on and really get in touch with their most powerful self. So welcome back, Dr. Valerie.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And I wanted to ask you, before we end the show today and we talk about the free gift that you're offering, could you share with us one of your testimonials that, just makes you so happy that you do this work and it makes you smile ear to ear when you think of the transformation and radical change that your client got?
Yeah, so I'm smiling ear to ear, and I love my clients. It's just they make my heart sing when their lives really become more easeful and peaceful and joyful. But I know people like tangible results, like, show us the money. Sometimes people like to approach it from this perspective. So just one of the It's not a typical result, but a testament to what can happen with this work when you go in deeper and reclaim your gifts. So I was working with this woman who is a brilliant woman, and she's successful in her career, and she also has an entrepreneurial passion on the side. And I was helping her with, just looking at where she is in terms of how she's utilizing her gifts and where she desires to go. And then I hear something and I'm like, okay, just let's go back to that. So long story short, I helped her uncover and add to her bottom line an extra over $350,000 that she had walked away from. But get this, she didn't know. She didn't even that's how success blocks operate. Wow. She didn't even track it as an opportunity. Like it was there in her story. And I'm a great listener, as you know, being a therapist, listen really well. Yes. So I listened between the lines, picked up on it. And it took me a while to help her actually see it, that it was a real opportunity. Yes, this person who was offering it to you, what did this person see in you? Let's look at these gifts, because she didn't feel that it was real, didn't feel that she was worthy, all this problem with receiving, right? And so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a great result. Yeah,
that was pretty awesome.
I love that.
Yeah, but I really love also results when somebody tells me, I've had this awful relationship with my mother my whole life. Like she's been very toxic and very critical of me. And so we've done this work on self-love, self-acceptance, really pushing the envelope on how good can it get in your relationships with yourself and others. Because and this person goes to their mother's bedside when the mother is dying. And for the first time ever, the mother says something good to them, affirming, approving, and they're able to have that moment.
And hold on to it forever.
Yeah, because they have changed, not because the mother, they changed, catapults everybody else into transformation. Yeah, that's how we change the world.
So it's not only how good can it get in terms of your life, but how good can it get in relationship? And that's life transforming, right? So we have this free gift that you are very generously sharing with our audience today, and I believe it's a 7-video series and a PDF report. So tell us. So let me tell the audience where they would go. So if they go to DrMaryOzFreeGifts.com, DrMaryOzFreeGifts.com, and you scroll down, you'll see Lisa Sasevich and Christy Whitman, Dr. Joe Vitale, Rihanna, and then you'll see Dr. Valerie pop up as well, right next to the bigwigs. And she's got a free gift that she wants to offer you on that site. So tell us about the video series.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so happy to share it with your audience. So you beautiful, brilliant women listening right now, these are the success blocks that we started talking about, but of course we don't have the time on this show to cover them all. So I made a video for every each of the 7 most common success blocks that really keep us in this overworking and under-enjoying cycle, under having abundance in every area of our life, and instead how to flip the script and welcome that abundance and give ourselves permission to fully enjoy it. So that's what you'll see there. They're yours, and feel free to share with our fellows for Success Revolutionaries. And there's a PDF or mini ebook for those who enjoy reading or reading along.
Awesome. So thank you. Thank you for that. And we encourage, what we'd like to do is we're going to have Dr. Valarie back next Wednesday as well. So what we're asking you to do is either right now after this call or after this show, you want to go check out DrMaryOz, freegifts.com, and start checking out her videos, right? And then when you come back next week, we're going to open the call. If you have any questions and you want to ask Dr. Valarie in person, you can go ahead and ask her questions.
That'll be so much fun.
Yeah, so the goal is she's going to
do it and call in. Please do it. And if you don't get through, you can always email me. My information will be right there in the free gift that you download. So
awesome. Very good. So you want to check that gift out this week. Next week, Dr. Valarie is going to bring back some more powerful information for us. And I'll just give you a little tidbit about that. She's going to join us next week, and she's going to continue talking about how good can it get in life, and talking about the game and making success a new normal in your life. And once again, every time Valarie comes to share with us, she's got a gift. So she has an even more powerful gift for us next week. So, Valarie, we got 2 minutes left. So just tell us a little bit about, could you give my audience permission to succeed in the next 2 minutes?
Ooh, that's a tall order. Permission to succeed. Well, it starts with really being so honest with yourself. So track your MBA, mind, body, and actions, and notice where you are not giving yourself full permission to enjoy. And you start very small with baby steps. Start by enjoying that glass of water fully. Maybe you want to upgrade your glassware, right? Maybe something will give you more pleasure. And the way you're sitting, can you sit in a more comfortable position right now? Like, do it right now. Or how you're breathing. Are you breathing fully enough? Are you nourishing yourself fully enough? Because that's where abundance begins. Are you nourishing yourself? You're telling the universe, bring me abundance with your words, but not with your actions.
Right. Or how you carry yourself, right?
How you carry
how we carry ourselves, right?
How you think about yourself and others. And you can't fake it. Well, some people will say you can fake it till you make it. It's just not my approach. Maybe you can.
Yeah.
You can. But really being honest with yourself and compassionate as you're being honest with yourself, loving yourself every baby step along the way. And I'll meet you on the journey. Please join her Success Revolution, download the gifts, and let's just start raising that tide together. High tide raises all boats, right? So lifts all boats. So let's just create that high tide of her success together.
Well, thank you, Dr. Valarie. Thank you for being with us here today. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. And we're really excited that you'll be back with us next Wednesday.
Me too. Thank you.
So to my listeners, don't forget to go to DrMaryOz, freegifts.com. You can experience more of Dr. Valarie's wisdom and her success formulas and her success blocks. And we would love for you to pass on Dr. Valarie to your friends and to other listeners as well. So have an awesome week, and we'll see you next week on the Radical Change Now show with Dr. Mary Oz on the Empowerment Channel with Voice America.
Thank you for tuning in this week for Radical Change Now. Be sure to join Dr. Mary Oz again next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time and 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Until then, have the best week of your life.